Coming up, we're going to be debunking the myth that Universal has bad food on this week's episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. I'm your host, Craig Williams. I'm joined by my co-host, Rhino.
Hello.
Hello. We have a really fun episode for you today. We're going to be debunking the myth that Universal Orlando has bad food. And it's been around for far too many years, and we're going to really get to the bottom of it today. But before we do that, I need to remind you that this show is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, the experts at helping you plan the perfect vacation. So if you like this show, you like the content that you see on this channel, please consider using Dreams Unlimited Travel, because directly supporting Dreams means you are directly supporting us. It is one and the same. So please, if you like this show and you want to see more of it, go to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com and get your free no obligation quote today. And also, make sure you do like this video and subscribe to the channel. That's also helpful as well, so more people find out about this show and get to enjoy everything that comes from it, right? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I'm adopting my Canadian accent today. No offense to any Canadians out there. But, or a Minnesotan. I feel like that could be a Minnesota.
I feel like just natural. Yeah. Anything in that mid-northern state section going up into the Great White North. But, okay.
You betcha.
You do betcha there. So we've got a great episode today, we are, like I said, we're going to tackle this myth that Universal Orlando has bad food. And that's been off my mind for truly a long time now. It's been a couple of years since that's even been a thought that necessarily is in the back of my head, just because so often we go to Universal and I have great dining experiences that the idea that, oh, Universal has terrible food, it hasn't been necessarily on my radar. But then Pete Werner brought it up on one of our Walt Disney World Edition podcasts recently, and it really got me thinking about it again. Does this myth, this rumor still exist out there? Is this still a thing that people believe nowadays? And just in case that is the actual truth, that people still think that Universal can't compete on theming, can't compete on attractions, can't compete on food, all of that, just in case that's still out there, I want to really start breaking it down. But that being said, we are not going to sugarcoat this and just say Universal's great, you should eat there because food's good and food will help you get throughout your day. That is not the case. We have had some really crummy experiences at Universal eating. Specifically, Blondie's was one of those reviews that we've done where the review was so bad that I haven't been back since then, and I don't know when I will. Yeah.
I mean, eventually we'll have to, now that you've mentioned it, I feel like we're going to have to go back. But like, yeah, that wasn't good. The comic strip cafe. No. I didn't care for that one either very much.
Yeah. Even there's like some of the middle of the road ones, like a Mel's, that I feel like we enjoyed our vegetarian option from Mel's.
I was going to say, loved that.
But not that. Just the regular style of eating at Mel's. There's still a lot of bad apples when it comes to Universal's dining, but they have made so much progress since 2013, I want to say, in terms of their food, and they are still making those changes. So I feel like it's really unfair to just straight up judge them and say they have terrible food, because the same thing goes with Disney, is that unless you're looking at some of the more unique places at Walt Disney World, like a Satuli Canteen or Docking Bay 7 in Galaxy's Edge, where you get more of these unique original items, unless you're going to those, a lot of the restaurants around, you're getting that just basic burgers, chicken tenders, whatever have you, hot dogs with it. You're getting that just served it in different areas. And Universal is kind of the same. You have these small pockets of really good food, and then some of the rest, and it's not very good in there, but they're similar in that way. But there's some hidden gems at Universal. But Rhino, do you feel like I'm kind of that I'm on the right track with this? Do you agree, disagree with me?
No, yeah, I definitely agree with you, because thinking on it and thinking about the dining there is that honestly, more times than not, the dining experiences are positive. And even when they're not positive, they're usually not terrible. Like I've had like probably that I can just think of like 3 things where I was like, no, like I'm maybe like, well, maybe a little more than that, but like we've eaten at a lot of places, and I have to say more often than not, like I said, it's a positive experience. And one of my favorite places to go, just not like theme parks, like just I really enjoy the restaurant, is at Universal.
Yep.
Universal Orlando.
Yes, Universal CityWalk, to be more particular on it. But
yes,
we will get there. So I just want to kind of run down through the theme parks real quickly here and talk about the highlights for us, as well as some of the lowlights. But just to point out, like, there is really good stuff. And I think right off the bat, when you walk into the gates of Universal, you're literally hit with one of their best options that is also one of their newest options in general, since
Starbucks.
Oh yes, Starbucks. Yes, the brand new coffee shop that no one's heard of. But seriously, the Today Cafe opened up a couple of years ago, and this place has really solid sandwiches.
Years? No, don't say that. Don't say years.
Well, was it in 2020 that it actually opened up?
No, I guess you're right. We basically, it's hard looking back that far, because we basically lost a year. So it's weird to be like, it feels so fresh to me. Oh no.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
The Today Cafe opened in May of 2019. So
my God, it's like almost 2 years. That's crazy.
It is. But that food, it's good. And it's held up the entire time.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. It's simple with sandwiches, but finely crafted sandwiches done perfectly. And what sometimes you're not in the mood for something extravagant. A nice, simple sandwich will take you a long way. And so I think that's a brilliant choice. I feel like it has to be said up front here, closer to the start of this entire conversation, is yes, everything in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter is pretty delicious. I think that just has to be said. I don't think at the same time too that it's necessarily adventurous, because it is just pub food. Pub food is everywhere at this point, but it's really well made food. And I actually think, like, if you just settle for fish and chips there, I think you're doing yourself a disservice almost, in a way. Try going out of the box, like especially in Universal Studios Florida at Leaky Cauldron. Don't just settle for the fish and chips. They're good, they're solid, but maybe expand to one of the other menu items there to go out of your shell a little bit.
I like the bangers and mash, the meal, because you get the parsnips and potatoes and whatever. And it's but I like to always try different stuff there. But yeah, I think everything over there is great. And also the Simpsons area I like too, because I enjoy that it's normal food but presented in I don't know. There's just something to it. It's better than just like burgers and fries, but you have a ton of options there. But that used to be my go-to spot, because I always like the Mother Nature burger, and they have curly fries, and I love curly fries. And I don't know. I enjoyed it. I don't know. It's basic, but I like it.
Yeah, I think it gets it for me, like with the curly fries. It really, in that section, the only thing that's like to me that is that twist that makes it definitely worthwhile going there is, like, in my opinion, the chicken waffle sandwich. Like that is that's the pull you in item. Besides that, I mean, we're looking at fried foods there. We're looking at burgers, like you said. It's nothing it's nothing crazy or different. But I think the thing with me is I always gravitate towards Springfield and in the restaurants in there because of the theming. And then it's just that I get a solid meal every time I'm there, where I'm not disappointed by it. It lives up to what I want from it at the time. And that's where some of the other restaurants like a Mills, I feel like it doesn't always quite do that. But that's not a lot of places. Like, in terms of the restaurants at Universal Studios Florida that I feel like have a potential to kind of like let you down here and there, it's not that many. Like I said, Mills is one that I still kind of tell people you're probably better off not going there. But my feelings on Richter Burger slightly changed after our one experience that we had there. I have a little better perception of that. Louis, I think that Universal's take on Italian food isn't amazing, but it's also not like downright disgusting. And the pizza, I feel like is okay. It's at least on the same level as the garbage pizza at Disney. And I don't think it's necessarily garbage, so don't get that opinion. It's just how pizza people talk about theme park pizza. Like, this is throw it away. I'm like, I don't know. It's got cheese. It's got sauce. Tastes good to me. It's got bread.
You're doing the Charles Boyle, the list of like mouthfeels, and you have your spittoon and you take the bite and spit out the pizza after you're done because you don't want to fill it.
I mean, but
that was a really deep Brooklyn Nine-Nine cut, but that was literally an episode I watched last night.
But that's kind of how I am on it. It's just like, it's not offensive to me in any way. I don't understand how some of this stuff does offend people, but there's even with, so going back to Simpsons in Springfield, and then right outside of their fast food boulevard, they also have the Bumblebee Man taco truck that is also really, really solid with their tacos. Just really tasty. A nice I don't want to say non-filling, but not a hearty meal. Good for a theme park day where you want something flavorful and light, but just enough to get you through.
Listen, it's also not about reinventing the wheel, right? It's just about, like what you said, it's quality control, and the tacos. Definitely a Halloween Horror Nights night. The taco truck is my best friend sometimes. But and speaking of that, Halloween Horror Nights, I mean that became a big seller for them, because right over there, that's where you'd get the pizza fries from. I forget what it's called. The place right outside of the SpongeBob area.
It's the Kids Own Pizza Company.
Yeah, and so like that's not reinventing the wheel, but it's something so basic, but just so good that it hits the spot. But then also, it's fun. It adds this element of fun to it. It's food that you're used to in a unique presentation, right? And then also it's the fun of being like, I'm going to try to do this at my house too, and I don't know. There's just something. I love a theme park food item, whether you like it or not, but that gets this like devout following behind it. And like Pizza Fry's got it immediately. Yep. Like they put it on their annual pass holder button that they gave out that one time, and it's one of my most cherished buttons I've ever gotten from Universal.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's simple but done well. It doesn't have to always be super extravagant, and even so.
The creperie. I love those crepes. I legit will go for those crepes.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too, as we're kind of mentally in our heads circling around the parks. The creperie I think it is one of the best additions that they could have ever made at Universal. It is so good. So good. And filling and fair priced. And that's
I was going to say affordable. Yeah.
That's one of I think the best parts of Universal and their dining is they still haven't, in my opinion, gone crazy with their pricing. And this, and not even just at quick service. Quick service, they, I think it's in line with what you're getting at a theme park. It all falls in, but this really applies more to their table service restaurants. And Finnegan's, I've had good meals, I've had bad meals there, and I would say I've had way more good than bad ones. But one of the things I say about it is it's really well priced. It's not it's not insanely expensive. And the same thing goes for Lombard's. Good and bad meals, more good than bad, but really the pricing is enough to get me back in the door. So that's basically across Universal Studios Florida, Islands of Adventure, and CityWalk. They are all very good about their pricing at the restaurants. And, for people who are traveling on a budget, it's nice to know that you can sit down and have a meal without breaking the bank.
Oh yeah, 100%. And going off of what I think I'd like to see more pop-up places like the crepe area. What is the crepe called?
I'll look it up right now.
But I'd like to see more of those, like where it's just a fun one very specific item and you grab it and go. Like this essentially, once they decided to reopen Green Eggs and Ham and Islands of Adventure, that's also, I just love. Again, it's essentially like they went the pizza fries route. It's fries. It's whatever they call tater tots there. I don't know if they're calling them tots or they're calling them potato barrels or whatever. But it's just something. But I want that. I want that stuff. Like I there's something fun about it, and I just like it because it also, not everything has to be this big. Not everything has to be a milkshake, a burger, and fries. Not everything has to be a sit down. Not everything has to be all this. But I don't know. Well, I think I like the sprinkling of these places coming around now.
Yep, I would agree with you on that. And it was Central Park Crepes. I
knew it was something like New York related. Okay.
Yeah, and so you brought up Green Eggs and Ham, which I think that is the perfect example of Universal taking a restaurant that has been there, existed for a long time, even though it was closed for a long time, but refreshing it and bringing it back to life. That's absolutely what they did with Green Eggs and Ham, and that's one of the best options you can get at Islands of Adventure. I might even say that it is the best option for dining that you can find at Islands of Adventure. I know that's a really bold statement, but I see Rhino clearly in the background of his video right now. He's looking for the can. Yeah.
My can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. It's so stupid. Serve tater tots in this, and you're like, why are you keeping this? Is great though.
It is. And the food holds up to the entire aspect of the idea behind the restaurant. But I don't want to church up Islands of Adventure, because the rest of the park, this is where we get into that middle ground territory where I feel like a lot of the food at Islands of Adventure is you'll get a good but average meal, or you'll have something bad like Blondie's, like Comic Strip Cafe. I feel like in this park, a lot of the places that we've mentioned in one way or another, Cafe 4, Circus McGurkus, Cafe Stupendous, they're all just kind of. Hold
up.
What?
Circus McGurkus, when we did the Grinch that one time, the Green Eggs and Ham breakfast pizza was off the chain.
Oh yeah, no,
I loved that.
That's where I'm saying, like, you'll probably have a good meal. It might not be anything amazing. Like a lot of the places in Islands of Adventure are just they need to figure out one specific food item and move with it, because like Cafe 4 does Italian food inside Marvel Superhero Island, and it's the exact same Italian food at all of the Universal Orlando quick service restaurants. So you don't necessarily need it in all these extra spots. Just find one home for it and really settle down with it. But that argument goes out the window when you then start adding burgers and fries to menu, and you need them in multiple places throughout the park. But that you can find really solid places with that too, like Burger Digs. I don't mind Burger Digs inside Jurassic
I'm looking
Park.
Up Burger Digs menu right now. Yeah. That's funny.
I think
literally that's what I was looking for.
It's, again, I've just never had a bad experience there. I expect it, but I walk away saying, you know what, this didn't offend me personally. But.
Yeah. I was going to say, I also feel like they try to do at least one interesting item on the menu there too, because right now I'm looking at this and there's this, so the barbecue burger, which sounds plain or whatever, but it's mango barbecue sauce, smoked Gouda. I was like, okay. The vegan cheeseburger platter is vegan brown rice and mushroom patty. And normally it's usually a Beyond Burger or an Impossible Burger or a black bean burger. So I think that's right there is something interesting for anybody that's on a plant-based diet. But I'm with you where it's like one of those, it's not, I'm not raving about it, but I always do find that I'm kind of surprised when I go in there where I'll be like, oh, I'm going to try that. Like, there's always something I find that I'm like I'm not being like appeased into trying it. Like, I genuinely am like, oh, I'm going to try that. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And I feel like that is a perfect example with something like Burger Digs that it's not going to let you down. But then I like that there's another level of restaurants too that are basically one and the same, but have this higher sense of elevation. I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but really I'm trying to say is that Three Broomsticks inside the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, something that we've spoken very positively about in the past, but is really pretty basic when you break it down. I think that's like, it's a good option. They've got the shepherd's pie there, the fish and chips, which I would get the fish and chips at Three Broomsticks over Leaky Cauldron if I had to choose, just because then the rest of the menu items at Three Broomsticks, you have rotisserie chicken, you have spare ribs, you have chicken and ribs together in a combo. And let's say Three Broomsticks has a massive line. Well, luckily then you have other restaurants that serve the exact same menu, like Thunder Falls Terrace in Jurassic Park, that it all tastes the exact same. And it's like Universal's reusing food items in different area of the park sometimes helps out in that way. And I feel like this is a significant example of it. But at the same time too, you also then have to add in with something like Three Broomsticks is that you want the experience of eating inside the Three Broomsticks.
You know, I remember it was one of the times we were staying at one of the resorts and we went in and we did, I don't remember if I was just with you or I ate there too, with the kebabs in.
We ate there. Yeah.
I can't remember where we rested on that one. That's so funny. Like, I remember being like, yeah, I've definitely had this before. Right?
Oh, you know, we definitely had the kebabs inside Lost Continent. Cannot tell you for the life of me what we thought about them.
Yeah.
I feel like we said they were good but small, maybe.
I feel like that's what it came down to. It was a price versus quantity scenario where it was like a snack versus a meal is what I feel like I'm remembering. I want to say there was hummus involved, but I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong.
Yeah. That was a long time ago. I don't remember. I remember eating it. I don't remember what we came down on our final opinion on it. But I think we've made our point that Islands of Adventure, not as exciting in terms of the dining as necessarily Universal Studios Florida. I think you'll find more solid options at USF. But then again, at Islands of Adventure, you have Mythos and you have why can't I think of the name of the restaurant right at the front of the park? Confisco's.
Oh, yeah.
Confisco Grill. You have those two table service options there. And, Confisco, I feel like, is definitely underrated right in the front of the park. And Mythos, while I still don't see the appeal that a lot of people find in it, people love Mythos. Like, they genuinely, if you love Mythos, you love Mythos. And I am happy that people have a home for Mythos. I've just never had a meal that I've actually liked there. So it's hard for me. But I'm in the minority in that sense. But yeah, Islands of Adventure, not necessarily the greatest in the world. I'm going to skip over Volcano Bay, to be quite honest, because they haven't really changed much. They have scaled back on dining since the park originally opened with 30,000 menu items in a water park. And I think they quickly realized that people didn't need that many options. But for a water park, I think the food is absolutely solid. It's well thought out and executed well. And if you're going to Volcano Bay, You're not going to have to say, "Oh, I need to leave the park in the middle of the day to go grab a meal somewhere else." You'll be served solid food there for sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, honestly, when I think about Volcano Bay, I'm fond of the eating experiences I had there on the. I know they were on the media day, so I know a lot has changed since then. But it was one of those where I was like, oh, it's an interesting, diverse selection of options here.
Yeah. And I will, before we go into our last section with it, I'm also not covering the hotels necessarily, because this is where we get into the mix of Universal's hotels being owned by being operated by Lowe's hotels. And so all of the restaurants aren't technically Universal restaurants. So that it kind of grays it up a little bit. But hotel dining, I've, again, to just reiterate what we said over and over again, besides the food we had at Endless Summer that I did not care for sitting out for so long and serving it in that way. Besides our
pizza.
The pizza was good. The pizza was good.
It was good pizza.
It was good pizza. And then besides like the Amatista Nightmare, I've never had anything that I'm like, this is garbage. How could they serve these at hotels? Most of the time, the food is extraordinary, if not even better than that. And that's hard to get better than extraordinary. But you know what? I threw it down. I said it.
Strong Water Tavern. You gotta go.
That's all
there. You used to go to you're for people that might not remember a deep dive back. Craig used to go and park and eat at the cafeteria. I forget what it's called at Cabana Bay, because you liked the food so much there.
Yeah, I did that for a long time. I like the food at the hotels. I think that even when, it's just to be clear that we're recording this right now still, when not everything we're talking about is necessarily open. So I just want to put that out there. But with all of the hotels, like Sapphire Falls, besides our bad experience, great food. Aventura, thought the food there was really, really nice. Cabana Bay, I still love the food. I just nothing bad to say. And then once you get to all the deluxes, I mean, well, Royal Pacific, I feel like has hit or miss days. But again, I'm on the minority in that. People who love the food at Royal Pacific really love that food. But I don't have anything bad to say about Portofino or Hard Rock Hotel. I like the restaurants in both of those hotels tremendously. So with that leads us to the final mix in all the food and dining at Universal Orlando. And this is where I cannot stand by if anyone says that there's nothing to find in Universal CityWalk, because I think it is arguably where you will find the best dining at Universal Orlando in general. I've looked through the list of all of the restaurants there multiple times to make sure I'm not missing anything. And as I'm scrolling through and I'm looking at what I would consider to be bad, and I'm not including a Burger King Whopper bar in this mix for obvious reasons. It's a Burger King. I'm not throwing in the fast food places. I'm looking at just the restaurants and the original concepts that Universal made. The only thing that I'm still like about is I don't like Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. I don't.
They cut my mouth.
Yeah,
I don't chip that one time. I just bit the chip wrong.
Yeah, it's just never been one of those things. I've had good meals in there, but it doesn't float my boat in any ways. But you'll probably have an okay meal if you go there, just nothing incredible. And I still think that Antojitos just is not great. It's good. It's just not great. I don't like it. I don't like it that much.
That one I'd have to give another try too, because it really only had the one. I don't know that you and I had a dining experience there together. I've been before, but I'm like really only eaten one meal. I know we did the margarita, the Disney versus Universal video, and it involved there and the one at Disney Springs. But so I that one I'm still like the jury's still out for me on it. Like I enjoyed the margarita I had, but I haven't had like a full on meal there. But in terms of all those restaurants like that we have there, I feel like they're also all very accessible and reasonably priced, more or less.
Yes. No, 1,000%. I feel like the most expensive restaurant that doesn't have to necessarily be expensive at CityWalk is Big Fire. But the bigger you go at Big Fire, the more big happy you're going to be. So I would just say go big there. But Toothsome, we have done nothing but sing of Toothsome's praises, and I still continue to stand by that. Toothsome is really good. Big Fire is really good. Cowfish, it still holds up. The kitsch is over for me, but
I think that's the thing is like once it got like really pared down, it still has like the menu items I like, but it just kind of, it's not. I guess it just got so like kind of a hassle. It felt like because it was always a lot of people trying to go there, which is fine because it's really popular. But then it was really pared down. And I will say though, the drinks are great. The drinks they do are really good. And if you can get in there and it's like reasonably people, I think it's worth going to at least once if you've been to the other places. But ever since like Toothsome came in and NBC, those are the two. For me, those are my like. If I'm gonna pick one and I haven't been to a while, it's gonna be one of those two probably.
For me, Cowfish still struggles from service issues more than anything. It just when it's a slow restaurant, they don't have enough staff to deal with the couple people that are in the restaurant. And when it's a busy day, they are still understaffed and can't handle. And it's like, and if there's a lot of servers, then there's clearly not a lot of people cooking in the back. It's just there's always something off with how you are actually getting your food there. It doesn't mean that they're not nice and the food doesn't come out being good. It's just, it's always
something in the expediting. Something in the expediting is happening.
Yeah. But even beyond that, Bob Marley, hidden gem.
Oh yeah, Bob Marley. I always forget what a good experience we had at Bob Marley. Yeah. I just don't think of that strip back there. So that's why it's so funny.
Yeah, no, and I even would say with the other ones, with the stuff that I would say like that surprises me. We talk about it all the time too. Margaritaville. It's a Margaritaville. All these massive destinations have them. How could it possibly be good? But it is pretty good. It's worth going out of the way for. I am always walking to the Hard Rock Cafe saying, why am I eating in a Hard Rock Cafe in this day and age? And then you get it. And it's burgers and pub food and grease galore. But I don't remember a time walking away being like, I didn't just devour that food. That's almost always the case. So
I was going to say, I just love, like, the thing I love is, like, for me, it's like Toothsome and NBC because they are kind of like two opposite sides of a spectrum in terms of, like, Toothsome I think they have a great menu with a lot of diverse options. I love the drinks. I love the chocolate old fashioned. And then you have NBC, which is very accessible, but it does this thing where it's like elevated bar food. And I love that, but it's all like, there are interesting options in there. And then also just the breadth and scope of which they have access to the beer is great for a play. Like, I don't even think there's anywhere at Disney that has that many like beers that you can get or try or whatever that are, I don't know. Now I'm saying that.
CityWorks.
Yeah, it was CityWorks. Okay, I was like, now I'm trying to think because I feel like there is one, and it would be CityWorks.
Yeah. But no, you're absolutely right, and I think I think that again, it goes back to as well that it's pricing. They're giving you these options without overpricing you. I love Red Oven Pizza. I think it's solid pizza. And this is where it's like, it's a little pricey for pizza, but I think the quality is worth every single penny. And this is well-made pizza. I like Vivo Italian food. Like, don't leave and go to an Olive Garden when you can stay in CityWalk and eat at Vivo. Like, it's not going to be like eating in Italy, but it is good Italian food. And again, fairly priced. It's just that is the name of the game when it comes to everything in CityWalk. It's really, they turned it into a mecca for food. You know, it used to be clubs, dining, and entertainment, and they really decided to lay into it with the food. And I think that's where they struck out big. And eventually, we've already seen it start at the parks with what's happened at Universal Studios Florida with stuff like Green Eggs and Ham. That transition will make it fully into the parks, and they will be a little bit more adventurous. But I think the quality of all of the places we've talked about has gone up in the years that I've been going to Universal Orlando, and I think it's still going up. So this myth doesn't need to exist anymore that Universal has bad food. Yes, you can make some bad choices, and there are still bad options out there, but that's why you need to watch our show and listen to when we try to steer you away from something or any other, literally it's YouTube. It's the internet's out there. If you do just enough research, if you go on Disboards and look through the massive threads on the Universal forum, you will find enough information to help you stay away from those bad experiences. If you go and you still have a bad experience,
menus too.
Yeah. Look at the menus.
In this day and age, they're in the phone. They're on the apps. You can get access to them pretty easily now.
Yeah, you can find out firsthand. Don't walk into Blondie's and be like, "Oh, well, you know what? This Dagwood sandwich sounds good." Like, we can't go back on Blondie's. Blondie's was so bad, but you shouldn't walk into a cafe forum and be shocked like, "Oh, it's this is theme park pasta. Maybe this isn't what I want." Like you have the menus ahead of time. You can look, you can find the right thing, do a little research with it, listen to us, and you're going to be fine. You're going to get some amazing meals at Universal. And if you don't, I mean, maybe you just had a bad day. That's what I'm going to say, at least. But
you had a bad day. You're taking one down.
Good. We got the singing in.
Song.
We got the singing in. So,
turn it around.
Anything else you wanted to mention, Rhino?
No, I mean, I it's like what you said. I when stuff comes along like Harry Potter or these like really themed areas they do, it makes me very excited because they have really come along with really cool, interesting like snacks and fun things to really get into. So I think it's really worth just you don't even have to be adventurous to try something new and different at Universal. So just try something you haven't had before.
Good. That was a nice place to leave it on. So Rhino, thank you so much for having the conversation with me.
Oh, thank you. I'm starving.
Yes, me too. So time to go get some food. But before I go and get my own food, I just want to take a second to remind you one more time to make sure you like and subscribe to this video. And if you're listening, make sure you are subscribed to us on whatever platform you get your podcasts. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to rate and review us. And maybe I'll give you a shout out on a future episode if it's a review that I deem to be fun and happy and nice, mostly nice. But beyond that, too, remember, if you're planning on going to Universal Orlando, please consider using Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you support them, you are supporting us. So if you like this show, please use Dreams Unlimited Travel, and you can get more information at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. So thank you so much for watching and listening. Yeah, that's how you say it. I kind of forgot how to say the word. Listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again real soon with another episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. But until then, remember, we still haven't changed the name